Gavan O'Brien is my name. I'm the Commercial Director for Grad Ireland. So the seminar that we're about to kick off on is called Key Skills Required by Companies Hiring Tech Graduates. Very happy to have our panel here with us today, which is Len McAuliffe, Director in Cybersecurity and Forensics with PwC. We have Lorna Martin, Head of Technology for Fidelity Investments. Ita Langton, Technology Consulting Partner with Deloitte. And then last but by no means least, John Paul Cooney, Director of Risk Technology, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. So thank you all for giving time out of your day to be with us today. We're going to try and keep this as I suppose, focused on your needs and your experiences and your questions and learning as much as you possibly can from the attendees and from the panel. We're going to keep questions until the end, if that's all right. We have a catch box which we won't be throwing it at you, but we'll be kind of throwing it to you, so you'll have opportunities to talk to any of the panel towards the end of it. There's one of my colleagues at the end here that has it. As I said, I won't be throwing it at you, we'll be throwing it to you, and hopefully you'll have some questions on foot of the insights that you'll be able to pick up from the guys today. So we won't, without further ado, we'll kick on. So we might start to my right and then just ask the first question, which are, what are the key skills that you look for in your organisations?
Great, thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ita Langton and I am a technology consulting partner in Deloitte. And in Deloitte, we're very much focused on how we can help businesses, both in the private sector in financial services and the public sector, how we can help them achieve their business objectives through the use of technology. So what we're looking for in our graduates that come through the door is a real curiosity in how businesses operate, what their key purpose is, and getting to understand the objectives and aims of organisations, and then bringing your technology skill set to bear in that and helping them advance their agendas. So really a real curiosity in how businesses operate and your kind of skill set and technology that you have gained to date. But very much the graduate programme that we have, takes in people from all manner of backgrounds and provides a level of training across both business and technology acumen. So that's kind of what we're looking for.
Okay, thank you. My name is Len McAuliffe and I'm a director with our cyber practice in PwC, which we also do forensics as well. Our technology is kind of broken into different streams. We have technology and technology implementation. We have cyber and forensics. We have digital, which also takes into consideration artificial intelligence, robotics process automation. In the cyber side, we do cool stuff like ethical hacking. In forensics, we try and track hackers. In the data analytics side, we do some brilliant kind of predictive analytics on threat intelligence, and also for businesses as well, just typical predictive analysis and data analytics. But the question being, what do we look for? I remember in the old days, it was kind of, people with tech backgrounds, with tech skills. But as we've kind of matured as an organization, and what we're really looking for is, that diversity of thought, not people who are all computer science, not BIS. We take people from arts, we take them from science, we take them from all different disciplines. And I'll tell you why. We need people to have not just diversity in culture or diversity, in sex or sexual orientation. It's also diversity of thought. So we need people who think outside the box. And I'll give you a great example. For us, it's try to think the next step like a hacker, or it could be robotics or artificial intelligence, and how do I think outside the box and link all these different kind of data elements. So really what we're looking for is someone, with a lot of diversity of thought, kind of thinks outside the box, is very curious about technology and how it impacts business. And very good, I have to say, from a consulting point of view, we're very client-facing. So if you ask me what's the balance between, their technical skills and their interpersonal skills, I would say, what we look for in interviews is that ability to communicate, to get your thoughts across, just as much as your technical skills.
Right, okay. It's an interesting insight. Lorna.
Hi, my name is Lorna Martin. I'm Head of Technology at Fidelity Ireland. So some of you may know Fidelity. It's the largest provider of retirement and financial services solutions in the United States. Here in Ireland, we have, I suppose, a broad range of technology options. So we support all aspects of our financial services business, everything from workplace investing to trading, portfolio management, right through to we have roles in cybersecurity. We have a very large cybersecurity presence here in Dublin, but equally a large cloud practice, and we hire a lot of full stack engineers. So like the other speakers, we do look to a broad range of institutions and also from the market in general. But I suppose what we potentially hire for is really about potential. So we look at the potential of someone coming through the door, what they can be as opposed to maybe what they are today. And we look at a couple of different aspects of that. So clearly, if you're joining a technology organization, you have to demonstrate at least some capability and love for technology. Secondly, we look very much at your ability to work as part of a team. All of our technology teams are Scrum-based teams, so that's really, really important to us. If you want to work solely as an individual contributor, you're probably not for us. We look for you to work as part of a team. And the third piece that we would look at is, your potential to learn on a continuous basis. So if you think about your degree, that's really only your jumping off point. If you want a career in technology that has longevity, you really need to think about what's your personal development strategy, how do you develop over time. And graduate programs like our program, which is called LEAP, is a fantastic opportunity to start on that kind of journey, where we support you in terms of joining a large global organization, but equally equip you with the additional tools and techniques and network in order to be able to build a very strong career in technology.
Fantastic. John Paul.
Hi, thanks. My name is John Paul Cooney. Director of Risk Technology at Bank of America Merrill Lynch. We're based in Sandyford in South Dublin. We currently have a presence of around 700 people in Dublin. The vast majority of those people would work within our technology and operations division. Within our technology division, similar to Lorna, we hire a variety of different roles, from developers, business analysts, project managers, support roles, architecture roles. So a very kind of broad skill set is what we're looking for. I suppose, to go back to the question about the key skills that we look for, there's 4 things that we look for. The first is great problem solving skills. I think Len mentioned a couple of phrases there about kind of thinking outside the box and diversity of thought. So why do you need that? You need that because in our business, we need people to be able to understand problems. We need them to be able to quickly be able to identify the root causes and the issues that are leading to those problems. And then not only that, but we need them to quickly come up with a variety of solutions to those problems. And diversity of thought is key to achieving those requirements. I think Lorna mentioned another one around teamwork. That again, that is essential. Similarly, a lot of our teams we use Agile. A lot of our teams would be Scrum-based, so there's a variety of different role there from Scrum Master, project managers, business analysts, an array of developers and QA to support that team. So if you think about that, that's a lot of moving cogs that are all essential in the success of achieving projects. So the key to achieving that is through teamwork. The third one would be good communication skills. So in our organisation, we require our graduates to speak to stakeholders at all different levels of the organisation. So the IT systems that we look after, they're key to our business. So you could be talking to front office IT support who may be providing the frontline support for your application. You could be talking to the end users of the application, or you could be talking to a group director who may not be an end user of your application, but his group are impacted by the workings of your system. And it's important that you are able to tailor your communication style to meet your targeted audience. So that would be another thing that we look for. And one of the other contributors, lastly, one of the other things that one of the earlier contributors mentioned as well is that kind of intellectual curiosity, that drive and motivation to succeed. This is the IT industry is rapidly evolving and changing, and we're always looking for people who are looking to the next challenge, who are looking to push boundaries, who are looking to new developments to help us come up with the most appropriate solutions for our business. So that would be the kind of 4 key things that we look for.
Okay. Okay, Len, do you want to add something else into that?
I'm just kind of thinking about, the key skills and what would attract us to a grad and a grad here, there's one thing, there's a skill is probably a loose way of putting it, but I will give this advice to all of you. Absolute attitude in work, to solve a problem, to get that done. If I look across a team of 40 cyber consultants with various different backgrounds, right, I'd say, what's that key skill? And we speak about it in our performance reviews, and they say, okay, he's not the top coder, but he's got the best attitude and willingness to problem solve, work with clients. That's a huge
right.
part.
Peter, do you want to add anything
Yeah, I was
to that?
just going to add, I think another key skill that we look for is a good team player, because when you come into Deloitte, you're working on large projects out on client site, and as the other panel members have said, communication skills are very important when talking to clients, but also the ability to work as part of a team, because in Deloitte we are successful when we have successful teams, so being able to bring that to bear in work is very important, to work together to achieve the project outcomes.
Right, okay. John Paul, you touched on it just in your final point, just in terms of the future of technology, which is an appropriate segue, I think, into the next question, which is, so if you don't mind taking this on first, if that's all right. So the next question we have is, what current and future trends do you think any tech students or graduates should be aware of?
Again, I go back to something that Len mentioned earlier there, is around, particularly for us, around machine learning and artificial intelligence. I think they are two big things that we are looking to grow within our business and to give us that cutting edge that we require over our competitors.
Yeah.
I think from our own perspective, particularly within risk technology, we tend to be kind of risk adverse. So I'm not saying that we're going to be kind of pioneering the way forward with this, but it's definitely something that we're seeing even today more of, particularly on the retail banking side of our business, within our call centres and within our branches, particularly in obviously in the US. But yeah, I think as well as that, machine learning is going to be a significant development in the near future, and helping us to get a better handle on our risk and manage our business better.
Okay. Lorna, are you finding the same within Fidelity?
Yeah, so data is very much at the
Sure.
life pulse of our business, and pretty much every technology business. So really, I suppose, good skills in that space, and thinking about, lots of people are very interested in data analytics and also in machine learning. So I think that's certainly an area. But I would also say, a lot. So we have Fidelity Labs, which is essentially a laboratory-based. We look at emerging tech all the time.
Okay.
So some of the areas that we're looking at very closely is really about kind of things like zero UI. So looking at the return of voice is huge, particularly in the financial services industry, but also things like virtual reality and augmented reality. And if I think 2 years ahead, as you were saying, if you look at some of we've done a lot of pilots. So for instance, we did a partnership recently with Amazon on the Sumerian platform for augmented reality. It's very clunky at the moment. You're dealing with big VR headsets or Google Cardboard. I think that's going to become much more accessible into the future, and a lot of the products that companies like ours are going to provide is going to come through those kind of interfaces and experiences. Right. I think Len has mentioned a lot about cybersecurity. I think if you want job security for life, a career in cyber is the way to go. But I think you have to have you have to have endless curiosity, perseverance, and patience. You know, we have guys who do a lot of work in both threat detection, but also, you know, things like red teams. So essentially trying to do ethical hacking and so forth. You know, so I think those, you know, you can't open a newspaper these days without seeing some news around a major hack into a major system. So I think that's certainly an area to look at as well in terms of future. And I think, you know, if I go back to business models, so if you look in terms of, you know, the rise of digital over the last 2 years, even, you know, over the last 10 years, if you think about everything that you can do today, you can run your entire life 24/7 on a mobile device. Yeah. So I think, you know, the focus in that space is going to continue, but equally, you know, I think the requirement to be very, very focused on both your personal data security and your company's personal data security and your customers' data security. So back to where I started, data is very much
And it's a changing mindset as well, isn't it?
It totally is, yeah.
Yeah. Len?
Well, I'm selfishly first going to speak about the cyber area. And the beauty, and as just mentioned here by Lorna, the beauty of the cyber area is that we have to know how to break everything. In other words, I remember when the first iPad came out, you know, they were saying, Len, how do I secure these mobile devices? When the first cloud security came out, how do we secure these, you know, a cloud environment? Every artificial intelligence, how do we build security into an agile process, you know, or how do we build security to DevOps, etc. So for me, the area is intriguing because I have to stay abreast of anything new coming out. We have to figure out how it works, and then we have to figure out how you can break it, and then how you can secure it. So, you know, it keeps, you know, skills-wise, we have to keep on top. Another area that I have to speak about, we gave a talk on this yesterday as well, is about how, you know, it's great everybody's talking about artificial intelligence and, you know, augmented reality and cars, but in reality, for the tech students now, your question, what skills would they need, you know, to be able to contribute, or what we're looking for to work in the team doing that? And the more we did research in this, you know, there is coding, of course, but the technology and solutions are so good now, it's nearly recording user actions and replaying them. So coding is good, but not a must, because we also look at a person who's able to look at a complex process and re-engineer a process for the coders to even develop the steps for that. Yeah. So there's a lot of different skills there, and then it's that big picture piece as well, not just that technology that we're looking for as well.
Right, okay. Last but not least.
Thanks. I think the two trends that we're certainly seeing clients ask our advice on the most, and the ones that I am investing my time in learning and I would advise our students to look into, is the future of work and kind of that digital transformation that the other guys have spoke about. So in terms of future of work, it's how are you know, humans and technology going to coexist in a workforce, and that's all around, you know, how can we use AI to get better outcomes for businesses, get better outcomes for government. You know, how can we use blockchain to improve trust in the processes that we have. So really that kind of fourth industrial revolution that we're now in, and the coexistence of technology and humans in the workforce. And what does that mean for us as individuals? You know, like what we're studying and what you guys are studying in college now in a couple of years, you know, may be irrelevant in that we will have moved on considerably. So kind of understanding from a professional perspective how you continually stay relevant in a rapidly changing environment. And then in terms of digital transformation, you know, and Lorna, you touched on data and the need for, you know, access to your data, the need to be able to garner insights from your data. But also, you know, how do we advise clients and large organizations to move to the cloud? How do we help them do that safely? You know, back to AI, back to blockchain as well. So really understanding the kind of big trends that are happening in the world, that move to the coexistence of robots and humans, or humans and technology, and also how organizations are transforming to be more digitally enabled.
Fantastic insights. One that I picked up on was what you'd said, not to say that I didn't pick up on anything in particular, but your insight, Len, in terms of having a mindset to be able to think about breaking something and how to kind of rebuild it and fix it. I think that's a fascinating insight.
It's like, you know, the kid, one is the one that plays with the toy, and the other is the child
that you?
just
That was
wants
you.
to
Right,
rip
okay.
it apart or break it apart and put it back together. That's for our area, that's a key skill, you know, is looking at a solution and learning how to, because a lot of times, and our other technology colleagues here, the hard thing sometimes, if I was putting my hand up, is actually building it.
Right.
We come along and figure out how to break it, and then look like the heroes, you know. They're so clever, you know. But you know, but the thing is, we have to know that across nearly every technology.
Sure.
But there is a key kind of trick there, you know, the way technology is rapidly evolving. But I remember when I first started out in cyber, which was quite early in Hewlett-Packard days, and there was principles which have never changed.
They haven't changed.
If I was giving you an example, you know, how do you authenticate to the device, the password, thumb, whatever it is?
Yeah.
What are you authorized to do then? How is it audit and logging? How does it handle encryption and data? And all of these.
So the
principles-
methodologies are the same.
Yeah, you know, but you just have to apply it to the next new wave of technologies come along, and some things will change.
So that's, again, a very interesting and well done, very interesting or an appropriate segue into the next question. So Len, you can pick this one up, seeing as you touched on that. So we're asking you to put your look into your crystal ball, right, and gaze 2 years down the line. What do you think the tech landscape will look like in the next 2 years?
Okay, the tech landscape, I think, you know, we touched on kind of trends that we're talking about. We're already seeing and nearly being dictated by from CEO level down to CIOs is that you're going to have to build a robotic process automation, artificial intelligence into your service lines, your areas. This is not just an IT problem. This is diktats coming down saying you have to reduce, we say, you know, mandates on all of these manual tasks. Now we want you to do it. So what we're seeing or what we're predicting is you'll see these, and what we're promoting also is how does a company do that?
Yeah.
So we're saying, so what we're doing is, what we're working with companies, for example, is we're setting up a center of excellence around robotic process automation, which is really automating manual tasks, okay, swivel chair type tasks and input type tasks, and then also having artificial intelligence, which is the cognitive piece of decision making, a bit more intelligence, some with human intervention, and then when it gets more complex, without human intervention to make decisions. So what I see is over the next 2 years, you'll see people trying to implement that into their organizations. But people are worried about their jobs, and they're calling, you know, coexisting with robots when a robot can be a script or a scripting task. The thing is that I think it'll free people up from the manual tasks to do more value-add work.
Okay.
You know, and that's the way I see
So
it
it's not a
going up
doomsday
next 2
scenario.
years.
Some are reporting, thankfully.
No.
Ita, would you like to take?
Yeah, I think like in a couple of years we won't really be talking about the tech landscape, in that technology is just in everything that we do. And I think where I'm seeing the conversation going now is, you know, how can you kind of get strategic advantage over your competitors through the use of technology, but much more on the business outcomes or your kind of on your customer expectations. So the conversation is really there because technology can do pretty much anything, you know, and we're seeing that kind of advancement. And also a lot more discussion on, you know, how we as humans want to coexist with technology. So that kind of conversation about ethics and morals, so that's kind of where I see it. I think every company and organization is a technology company now, and the ones that will survive will be the ones that will use technology to their advantage. So it's really having that as a technology graduate, you know, thinking about, and what I would advise you when you're kind of looking for organizations that you want to join, like look at the kind of purpose of that organization, look at what their big picture aims are, and is that something that you can buy into and kind of agree with.
Okay. Lorna?
Yeah, so I think the good news for you guys is if we look out over the next couple of years, there's still more demand for people with the skills than there will be actually, you know, people out there. So I think there's jobs. They may not necessarily be the same jobs as they are today. So I think, you know, both speakers hit on two excellent points. So one relates to, I suppose, the future of work and the future of living. So how do we coexist with technology? It's very much, you know, there's some of you in the room are essentially born digital, right? So you don't understand, you don't remember having to dial up on an analog line to go and access your email, if you had email or if you knew what email was. So I think we're going to see, a continuity in terms of that, the mobility, but also that always on sort of approach. The second side of it, and again, I think Ita touched on this also, is in terms of, well, technology is not an end in itself. What is the purpose? So, lots of companies, they're essentially looking at, first of all, how do they make work more interesting for people who work for them, and how do they add value in terms of what they actually provide to customers on the market. So, I think we touched on pretty much everything from RPA through to, AI and AR and all of those spaces. They will continue to evolve, but there'll be things that are new as well. So if you look in terms of things like cryptocurrencies, and I think Ita touched on blockchain as well, there'll be different ways of doing things that are technology enabled. The technology is not invented just for the sake of the technology. So, if I think about John Paul's world, probably in terms of risk, there's a lot of contracts. So, you might be managing your relationship with your bank on a blockchain as opposed to going in and filling out 50,000 different forms. Similarly, you might get your bonus in some kind of a cryptocurrency. Today, we tend to value kind of cash as king, but I think we're going to see more and more digital creep into our day-to-day living.
Okay, John Paul.
Yeah, similar to what the other contributors have mentioned. I mean, I think the key thing is that I think there will be a shift in terms of looking to use technology more as a competitive advantage against your competitors. If you look at the geopolitical landscape just now, you mentioned 2 years down the line. In 2 years' time, President Trump will be going for another term. Brexit will have happened. We'll potentially, if there's a deal, we'll be coming towards the end of a transition period. The geopolitical landscape means that markets are not, the emerging markets are not there anymore for large companies to break into, and therefore we have to look to technology to enable the efficiencies that will help drive our businesses. And I think that's where we'll see a kind of major shift, and that will mean also a shift in the role of the traditional technologist as we look to introduce more artificial intelligence, more machine learning into our processes to help drive those efficiencies. Okay. And I think just the same question but on a slightly different slant, I think it's an exciting time for these guys in front of us as well, because if we look in 2 years' time, the competition for the skill sets that these graduates have is going to be even fiercer than it is now. I mean, for those that have been coming to this event for the last number of years, we've seen how it's grown exponentially, and that's because the skill sets that you guys have are so in demand. And one thing that will happen over the next couple of years is companies like ours will have to be more innovative in terms of how we attract top talent.
Okay, what I'm going to do is just open the floor to questions. Is there anybody in the audience that has any particular questions? This gentleman up here to my left. The guys are just going to put a boom over you as well so that you can be heard.
Just one question in regards to outside of college, like what can we do outside of college, maybe projects that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I always ask this question when I'm doing grad interviews. I don't know, the way grads prepare for interviews, there's like these stock answers that I kind of go off the script, and I always ask, show me, it's kind of like, what do you do non-college that shows me that you have a great interest in either cybersecurity, robotics, analytics, and some people, you see them, they drift into, at home I set up this network and I did this and this, or I'm working on this side project. And what it shows me is that this person isn't going through the normal routine of answering the stock questions and giving it. He's actually very interested in it and he's passionate in it. And to me, that's my biggest check. I know I won't have to push this guy or motivate him. He's self-motivated. He's doing this. His interest. I heard guys, going, I went on to these, you can test your hacking skills on a website, and they knew all the tools and all that before they joined their cyber and ethical hacking team. That's the kind of thing I like to see. So it doesn't have to be strictly a project, but you show that you've knowledge and you've tried something out, specifically if you're going in for a job and that. It's a very, very strong attribute during an interview process.
Okay.
Yeah, I just reiterate the same point. It's not about a particular project or doing it in a particular technology. It's about that showing that drive, that enthusiasm for what you do. You need to understand what it is that you're interested in order to be able to pick the right role for you. And if you can come into an interview setting and articulate what it is that you're passionate about through the use of different examples, then that's what we're looking for. People who are driven equals people who are motivated. People who are motivated make motivated teams, and motivated teams are high-performing teams. So that's what we're looking for.
Okay. Lorna?
I would say just from a practical perspective, because I think you're looking for a fairly practical answer. So I think absolutely, I think you should experiment to discover what you really like. Because when you go into a career, if you don't love it, it's really challenging every day. So if I think about if you're on a technology type program, pretty much if you look at the technical stacks that large companies are using these days, it's more and more open source. So I would say if you're really interested in proving that in the experiential sense of the word that you can actually demonstrate your learning, maybe think about joining an open source group. If you're interested, as Len mentioned, in cybersecurity, maybe see, do you have the patience and curiosity to do it? Just think about, there's lots and lots of options out there. And, essentially, because the technology stacks are changing over time and time and time, essentially you're learning, I suppose, what you take away from your college education is, a lot of those fundamentals and frameworks, and it's back to what Len mentioned about cybersecurity, understanding the principles, not to worry too much about what the technology is that's going to sit on top of those principles. So that's what I would recommend, do something like that. And it's just really, if you can demonstrate an absolute, you love this field, you will set above anyone in an interview.
Fine.
Yeah, just in addition to what, as if that's not enough, says you, but in addition to what the guys have said in terms of investing in your technology skills at Deloitte, our purpose is to make an impact that matters, and that is both with our clients but also in the society that we live in. And we recognize that we have, huge resources and huge talent in our organization. So being able to demonstrate the impact that you're making in whatever organizations that you're maybe part of, whether it be in a college society or whether it be in football teams or sports or whatever, and really showing a passion for kind of using your skill set for the better of the teams that you work with as well. So that kind of broad impact that you can make.
Thank you all very much indeed for attending, but most importantly, thank you very much indeed to our panel. We hope you found it of benefit and of an insight, and the very best of luck to you all. Thank you very much indeed for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.